VR by itself is a fantastic experience. It can even be surreal at times, leaving a lasting impression on you. But add in the magic of the Star Wars franchise, along with the talent of developer ILMX Lab, and now you have some next level immersion. And that's what we have here with Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. But is great immersion enough to sustain a VR game? To find out, let's dig into this game's review, because you might just be surprised at what I have to say. Hello, this is Jeepers with 4GQ VR, and I'm bringing you a fresh review on Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, which was released in November of 2020, but because of the influx of new VR users, I thought it would be a good idea to review some older games. So you can expect many more to come. Tales from the Galaxy's Edge is an original Star Wars story. You start by taking on the role of a droid technician who is operating just outside the Outer Rim. And right from the get-go, you're attacked by pirates, causing you to flee to nearby Batuu. But the pirates want something you have, and refuse to leave Batuu without it. Now, it's up to you to become the galaxy's next hero. So, the story itself starts out strong, but really loses momentum as you play through the game. And that's with me digging through as much content as I could obtain. But don't get me wrong, there is some adventure here to be had in this short storyline, as will be found later in this review. Also, there's plenty of lore and throwback to our familiar Star Wars universe if you pay close attention. But it's not enough to sustain the dry storyline, and interestingly, there's a bit of the game that you could completely pass up. For instance, if I had just quit the game after the credits rolled, there's side missions and the Temple of Darkness tale I would have never known existed. There needs to be an indication in the game that this content is there if you continue. Now the gameplay is fantastic, because like Vader Immortal, ILMX Lab did a great job with its linear design and controls. In the menu, they give you the option to play standing or sitting, but I highly suggest standing because it is a far superior experience. There's also a nice combination of teleport and locomotion that has been implemented into the game. The firefights are pretty intense at times, so the gunplay feels good too. As you proceed into the game, you'll discover a jetpack, which again makes for some great gameplay. Because now, you can hover and blast your enemies from above in a firefight. Also, with the jetpack, you can explore otherwise unreachable areas. You'll even come across several enemies from droids to annoying alien rodents, though enemy variety is rather limited. Now, unlike the enemies, the inventory system isn't as limited, and there's probably more space than is needed, so it works well. And although collecting items is necessary for the playthrough of the game, collecting for extra missions does feel like padding for the game. Now on to traveling. It too works well because of the fast travel feature. Unfortunately, the map is small and there's not much to explore. And within the map, you have very limited amount of weapons to choose from, but you do come across some remote droids that help out tremendously when you get into a sticky situation. Also scattered about the environment are containers with some helpful items like weapons, droids, and credits, but be prepared to solve a bit of a puzzle to gain access. My favorite part of any VR game is the immersion. So when reviewing a VR game, I always ask myself, how immersed in the game world did I feel? And this is where ILMX Lab knocked it out of the park. They really pushed the quest to its limits graphically. Not only that, the environments were well detailed, and I felt like part of the Star Wars universe, especially in Cecil Slack's Cantina. For instance, the developers put a jukebox and an interesting dart game that helped spruce up the joint. Now, little additions like this drew me into the game's environment tremendously. But if I had one complaint about the Cantina scene, it would be the lack of others to chat with. The place just felt too empty. Another fantastic immersion in the game was the multi-tool used to open containers and the simple puzzles to solve. It was an enjoyable break from combat. But to save the best immersion for last, don't miss out on the Temple of Darkness tale after the credits roll. You finally get a chance to feel what it's like to be a Jedi with a lightsaber in hand. And just like Vader Immortal, ILMX Lab does this best. Though it's unfortunate the tale is so short, about 10 minutes in length, because this is when the story really gets interesting. So I had a good time with my playthrough of Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, and the immersion was fantastic, but it really lacked a lot of content and felt like an incomplete game. The side missions and the Temple of Darkness tale simply felt like padding added to the game. Hopefully, when I play through its DLC The Last Call, the developers resolved some of the content issues. Because VR itself has evolved and short experience games are slowly becoming a thing of the past. So without playing through the DLC, the game's score stands at about 6 out of 10. It's a fun adventure, but the amount of content you receive just isn't enough from such a fine developer these days. Thanks for watching, and for more great VR content like this, please like and subscribe to 4GQ VR.
Gossip,